Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. This is your online class conducted by Government Haji Mohammad Mohsin College, Chattogram. I am Aisha Tabassum with you today to conduct this session. This is your English class, English first paper. Today, our topic for the lesson is entitled Environment and Nature from Unit 12, and the lesson is titled as Water, Water Everywhere. This Water, Water Everywhere is a verse, is a line from a renowned poem titled as The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, written by Coleridge, S.T. Coleridge, the great poet of the Romantic period of English literature. Before going through the text, let's see some pictures. The first one for you. In this picture, we notice a old person, old man, bearded man, and there is a writing, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Part 4. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, earlier I said that it is a poem written by S.T. Coleridge, the Romantic poet. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, this picture from the Part 4, and this poem contains 7 parts, and this picture belongs to Part 4. Let's go to the next picture, and this is the picture photograph of the great Romantic poet S.T. Coleridge, that is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He composed lots of poems collaborating with William Wordsworth, and he is one of the founder of Romantic period in English literature. Next is the picture, and in this picture we can notice a ship on the sea, a vast sea, and some crews boarded on the ship. And also you can notice a big, huge bird, white bird, and this bird is named albatross. Albatross is a seabird, big seabird, and the story of the poem, the ancient rime of the ancient mariner, is based on the ship and the boarded crew, and the albatross is one of the most important part of this poem. In this poem, before going through our text, because our text is based on water, and in the text, the allusion comes from the poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The lesson, the text starts with 4 lines, 4 verses from Ancient Mariner. In this poem, the Ancient Mariner had to go through some curse, had to go through some troubles. For some curse, they had to pass their days without having any pure drinking water, though they are on board on a ship, and they are in a big sea, in a ocean. Though they have ample lots of water surrounding them, but they have no any pure water to drink. There is another picture for you. What do you think? What is the place? Which is this place? This is the picture. This is the scenery of river Buriganga, our Buriganga, situated in the Dhaka. This is the picture of Buriganga. The water is fresh here. This is the picture also of the picture of Buriganga. In this picture, we can see that the Buriganga is neat and clean. The Buriganga is in its brim. But what about this picture? What has happened to this picture? This is also the picture of our same Buriganga, but so much nasty condition, so much dumped, so much wastageful. And this Buriganga here have lost its youth, have lost its beauty. This is also a picture of Buriganga, and the same scenario we can notice here, the polluted Buriganga. And also this picture bears the testimony of pollution of Buriganga. Now, from here, your text starts. The text entitled with Water, Water Everywhere. Water, water everywhere, and all the boats did drink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. These four lines, these four verses, the lines of a poem is called verse. These four verses are quoted from the famous poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, written by Coleridge. Water, water everywhere. There is lots of water everywhere because they were in the sea, boarded on a ship, and all the boats did drink, but the boat, the ship, or the bush boat, as the ship, and the all crews were shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Though there was lots of water, they were lived onto the water, but they have not no any drop to drink. They have no pure drinking water. Coleridge's poem, A Ballad, narrates the harrowing sea voyage of an old mariner who at one point of his journey didn't have any water to drink because of a curse. Coleridge's poem, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the Romantic poet. Uh, Coleridge's poem, A Ballad. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a poem, but poem has some sections. Poem has some types. Ballad is one kind of poem, a poetry style, writing style. A ballad narrates the harrowing sea voyage of an old mariner. In this type of poem, the writer narrates the harrowing sea voyage. Harrowing, painful. Harrowing sea voyage of an old mariner who at one point of his journey didn't have any water to drink because of a curse. The old mariner, the crews of the ship, had no pure drinking water because of a curse, because they are cursed for their mistake. Cursed or not, we know how important drinking water is in our life. What happened to the ancient mariners? Forget it. But we know that in our everyday life, in our life, water is most important elements. Water is obviously essential ingredients. We know we cannot survive without it. We never survive Without it, we never can survive without it. In fact, 2/3 of our body is made up of water. Basically, according to science, our body is made up of water mostly. 70% of our body is made up of water. Not for nothing is it said that the other name of water is life. For that reason, water is entitled as the life. The another name, synonym of water is life. One of the sources of water in our country is the rivers. We have lots of sources of water for getting water, but the main sources of getting water in our country is our rivers. Bangladesh is called riverine country because of its lots of rivers. More than 1,300 rivers are in our country, but rivers are everywhere in our life, literature, economy, and culture. These rivers, more than 1,300 rivers, are their importance equally in our literature, in our economy, and culture also. They glorifies it made easy our lifestyle. But are the rivers in good shape? But are these all rivers are in good shape, good health, good looking? Unfortunately, they are not. They are not. They lost their beauty. A few are already dead, and several are going through the pangs of death. A few of these rivers have already dead. We killed them. We killed these rivers, and several are going through the pangs of death, and several are languishing. Several are about to die. The river Buriganga is an example of a dying river. The river Buriganga is the fine example of the dying rivers. Is there a crisis in our time with regard to access to clean drinking water? The United Nations, in a meeting on the eve of the new millennium, identified the drinking water problem as one of the challenges for the future. There is a question, is there any crisis in our time? What kind of crisis? Crisis of getting pure drinking water, safe drinking water. We have lots of water around us, but is all the drinking water is safe for us? Is healthy to eat? Healthy to drink? No. The United Nations, in a meeting on the eve of the new millennium, identified the drinking water problem as one of the challenges for the future. United Nations identified this crisis, this shortage of this polluting the drinking water is a major problem for the future in the upcoming days. But do we need to worry about the problem as ours is a land of rivers and we have plenty of rainfall? United Nations identified drinking water, getting pure drinking water is a problem for the future. But as a riverine country, as the inhabitants of riverine country, do we have to be worried about this problem, about the sufficiency of drinking water? We have lots of rivers, we have Bay of Bengal, and also we have lots of rainfall. Besides, we have a sea in our backyard too. We have lots of rivers, we have plenty rainfall, and also we have a sea in our backyard. In our backyard, there is a sea, and this is actually a Bay of Bengal. It is, we usually we called it as sea. A report published in the Daily Sun, describes what has happened to the river Buriganga and why. The Daily Sun, a newspaper in our Bangladesh, made a survey, and it describes that what happened to the river Buriganga and why. The reason behind the pollution of Buriganga they describe. Its water is polluted and a perpetual stench fills the air around it. Its water is polluted. The water of Buriganga is polluted and a perpetual stench, a bad odor, and stink fills the air around the area. But that is not what it was like before. But it was not the same condition in the previous years, in the previous days, previous times. Once it was also a beautiful river. The report says that the river had a glorious past. Once it was a tributary of the mighty Ganges and flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dhaleshwari. Once it has relation to the mighty Ganges, the river Ganga, and flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dhaleshwari. Gradually, it lost its link with the Ganges and got the name Buriganga. In the passage of time, Buriganga lost its relation with the Ganga river and got its new name Buriganga. The Mughals were marveled at the tide level of the Buriganga. The Buriganga once had a mighty tide level and founded their capital Jahangirnagar on its banks in 1610 AD. And they were so marveled that they established their capital city on the bank of the Buriganga in 1610 and named their capital as Jahangirnagar. The river supplied drinking water and supported trade and commerce. Jahangirnagar was renamed Dhaka, which grew into a heavily populated city with a chronic shortage of space. Jahangirnagar, lately renamed as Dhaka, and these Dhaka grew into a heavily populated, densely populated area with a chronic shortage of space. In a small space, they are filled with this small space filled with lots of people, lots of human beings, inhabitants. The city paid back the bounty of the river by sucking life out of it. The city paid back the bounty of the river. The brimming river gave the city life by serving it pure drinking water, by giving it way to trade and commerce. But the city paid back to this river for its gift of life. It gives back by sucking life out of it. That means the city pay back, gift the river Buriganga its death. According to newspaper report, the Buriganga is dying because of pollution. Huge quantities of toxic chemicals and wastage from mills and factories, hospitals and clinics, and households and other establishments are dumped into the river every day. Lots of wastages from hospitals, households, factories, clinics, are dumped into the river water, into the Buriganga every day. The city of Dhaka discharges about 4,500 tons of solid waste every day, and most of it is directly released into the Buriganga. Most of the wastage of Dhaka city of about 4,500 tons of solid waste is directly disposed, directly thrown into the Buriganga. According to the Department of the Environment, 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are released into the river every day. Not only the household, hospitals, clinical wastages dumped into the river water, but also the tannery wastes, 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are also dumped into the Buriganga. Experts identified 9 industrial areas in and around the capital city as the primary sources of river pollution. Our experts and environment experts, water experts opines that experts identified some causes, some places for the water pollution, and the areas they identified as the most polluted area are Tongi, Tejgaon, Hazaribagh, Tarabo, Narayanganj, Savar, Gazipur, Dhaka Export Processing Zone, and Ghorashal. These 9 areas are a mostly polluted area, and these 9 areas are mostly responsible for the water pollution in our country, and also the culprit for the pollution of our river Buriganga. The river would need a monster stomach to digest all the wastes mentioned above. The waste mentioned above, that means the tannery wastages, the clinical wastages, the household wastages, every wastages that are dumped into the river water of Buriganga, if the Buriganga tries to digest it, it needs a monster stomach, a monster's stomach, a devil's stomach to digest all of these wastages. There is a limit up to which it can put up with its cruel and thoughtless treatment. We, the humans, have successfully killed one of our rivers. There are other rivers in the country that are being subjected to similar thoughtless treatment. Not only the Buriganga is treated badly, cruelly, but many of our rivers are treated equally, are treated cruelly by the human beings, by the inhabitants of the country. Unless we take care of our rivers, there may come a time when we will cry, water, water, and find it nowhere. If this scenario goes on, is this cruel treatment goes on, it's not far away when we have to lament, we have to cry, we have to scream for a drop of pure drinking water. We have to cry for getting water to drink. As the ancient mariner and the crews that boarded on the ship, the condition will be the same as the ancient mariner, as described in the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Now, what do you think about the scenario? Is it really a severe condition or not? Is there anything to worry about or not? Think yourself. Is our condition will be the same as the cruise of the ancient mariner or not? Think. Now, there is a moral of the rhyme of the ancient mariner. This is only for you, only to know. He prayed well who loved well both man and bird and beast. The poet here says that the human being has to love all. He has to pray to the God for his love. But to get his love, human beings needs to love all creations, everything, both man and bird and beast. He also has to love beast. He prayed best, who loved best, all things, both great and small. Every great, big, ample, or every tiny, small things you have to love. You have to love everything for the dear God, for the name of the dear God whom you want to satisfy. For the dear God who loved us, he made and loved all. The Almighty God made us all. Almighty God creates human being. Also, He creates the birds. Also, He creates the beast, and also He creates the nature and natural beauty. Also, He creates the river. Also, He creates the water. Also, He creates the air. Also, He creates the soil. So, we also have to love our environment, our nature. We must have to be the friend of our nature, natural objects. This is the theme of this text, of this lesson. There are some words for you to exercise. The first one is ballad. This is a noun. I have said earlier that a ballad is a narrative poem in rhythmic verses. It is composed with some rhythmic verses basically suitable for singing. Harrowing. This is an adjective. Acutely distressing or painful. Harrowing voice. Painful voice. Distressing voice. Pang. Noun. Pangs of death. Pain. Painful. Uh, pain, pangs, passage of death, pangs of death. Stench, noun, stink, bad odor. Tributary, this is also noun, the branch. Tributary, branch of, tributary of Ganges, that means the branch of Ganges. Marveled, this is a verb, to become filled with surprised, amazed, wondered, astonishment, filled with astonishment. Chronic, this is an adjective, continuing for a long time, occurring frequently. Digest, a verb, it means absorb. Now, there are some questions for making answer. The first of all is, what is ballad? The same thing. What is ballad? A ballad is a long narrative poem usually composed in rhythmic verses and suitable for singing. Ballad is always a long poem. What portion of our body is water? Our body contains 60 to 70% of water. 1/3 of our body is made up of water. Human body is made up of 60% to 70% water. We have a sea in our backyard too. What is indicated here? I have said earlier, this indicates the Bay of Bengal. Which challenge is identified as one of the challenges for the future by UN at the eve of the millennium? Of course, the challenge of getting pure drinking water. Drinking water problem is identified as one of the challenges for the future as the sources of water is being polluted day by day. We are responsible for water pollution. What was the capital of Mughals and when was it founded and where? In our passage, we get that the Mughals capital is named as Jahangirnagar and it is founded in 1610 on the bank of river Buriganga. How was the city Dhaka pay the river Buriganga in return of its supply of drinking water? How it pays back? The city Dhaka paid its source of drinking water, Buriganga, by sucking its life out of it, by giving it the death as the gift. Dhaka gifted death to the Buriganga, who gave it the life. Dhaka gave death back the river Buriganga as a return of its gifted life. How many areas in and around Dhaka are identified as the primary sources of river pollution and what are they? How many areas in and around Dhaka are identified as the primary sources of river pollution? We read that 9 areas are identified by the experts as the primary sources of pollution. And these places are Tongi, Tejgaon, Hazaribagh, Tarabo, Narayanganj, Savar, Gazipur, Dhaka Export Processing, that means Dhaka EPZ, and Ghorashal. All are the industrial areas. When will we have to meet our time, as the ancient mariner mentioned in the rhyme of the ancient mariner? We have to meet such a time if we continue our cruel attitude, cruel behavior to our rivers. If we still not be careful to our rivers and keep continuing water pollution, there will be a time having no safe water to drink and we will have to scream saying, water, water, like the crews boarded on the ship of ancient mariner. This is the end of the task. We are at the ending time. There is a task for you to do at home. Write a paragraph on water pollution in Bangladesh, showing reasons behind the pollution with reference to recent data. You have to compose a paragraph on the topic water pollution in Bangladesh. And obviously, you have to show some data, recent data. Based on some recent data, you have to compose this paragraph. Finally, this is the end of our lesson, end of our session. I hope you will be careful of using water. You will be careful to have to resist, to keep our water safe, and we will be able to we will able to keep our environment safe and sound, though this is not a safe and sound environment today for the pandemic condition. Hope this situation will over in near future, in a short time, and we will have a free life in the lap of nature very soon. Just keep yourself safe and sound, follow the rules and regulations of the physicians, and stay at home. Wash your hands, wear mask on your face, and try to stay at home, avoiding going out without any essential reason. Stay home, stay safe, and also keep reading. Thank you for joining me.